Right. Well, this is Debbie. I hope you can see me on, I don't know which square I'm in on your screen, but I run the Eastbourne Prostate Cancer Support Group, part of Picasso, with Chris, who's also on the screen as Chris C. So we're sort of like hosts for today, but what we've really done is we've been liaising with Rosie, because she did a talk back end of last year to people in the Eastbourne area about her service, and what that is going to mean for people in the Eastbourne and Sussex area generally. So we said, oh, please come along and talk to us. So today's talk, is a topic around the exercise here. What we're going to do is we're going to go straight into it, so that Rosie can do her presentation. She's going to share her screen, and her preference is for questions at the end. But if you're getting used to Zoom now, there is the option of a chat function, and you might want to put a question in there, and I shall keep a monitor on that. And Cliff also was explaining about how he manages the presentation. He will be muting everybody so that, that there's a free flow for Rosie to chat. So that's the format of the questions of the afternoon. And Rosie's going to talk for about 40 minutes or so. So really what I want to do is give you a warm welcome and a belated Happy New Year. I hope it will be happier as the year progresses. And just to remind you, if you haven't seen the recent mail out, is that there is a new edition of Updates, which is on the website, and Jenny and Ron, who distribute it, I'm not sure quite what the distribution is going to be like with the post office, but is it on its way?
Yes, I had an email early this morning from Tony Hill, the printer, and they're printed and being delivered to us tomorrow at some point. So we hope to start putting them in envelopes and getting them away. Obviously, it's getting to the post office, and some sorting areas are easier than others for delivery.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But we'll hopefully get some away shortly.
Okay. No, that's great. I thought that would just be if people are waiting for their print copy. Okay, so I think we hand straight over to Rosie. So welcome, Rosie. Rosie Sadler is Cancer Activity Project Coordinator at Albion in the community. So there you go. Thank you, Rosie.
Thanks, Debbie, and thank you all so much for having me today. There we go. Can you hear me now? Yes, I was chatting away there. I was just saying, it's so nice to see so many of you, so many faces on here. Thank you for joining. And as Debbie said, today's session is about kind of physical activity and keeping active kind of through and beyond prostate cancer. So my role within Albion and the community is the Cancer Activity Project Coordinator. So we've got a programme called Brighter Outlook, which is funded through a few different streams depending on different areas of Sussex, but generally the NHS clinical commissioning groups, Sussex Cancer Fund, and also Surrey and Sussex Cancer Alliance. So I will tell you a bit more about the Brighter Outlook programme later on, but I wanted to kind of focus today on what you can do kind of to start getting more active, to get more active, to keep active, and kind of where you can start some tips, and then I'll let you know a bit more about the Brighter Outlook programme and the support that we can offer as well. So let me just share my screen, bear with me. There we go. Cliff, could you give me a thumbs up if you can see that? Okay. Yeah, good. It's funny because now I can't see anybody else, so I can't see, just see a few faces. So we'll kind of talking about physical activity later on during this talk. I will get you kind of moving a little bit in just from your chair, so kind of hopefully keep you awake and keep you moving. So as I said, this is just about keeping active through and beyond cancer, prostate cancer. So keeping active, physical activity, exercise is a wonder drug, really. One of the quotes that I really like is, if we had a pill that conferred all of the confirmed health benefits of exercise, would we not do everything humanly possible to see to it that everyone had access to this wonder drug? Would it not be the most prescribed pill in the history of mankind? So that really, yeah, wonder drug, a magic pill. Imagine a pill that you could take that gave all of the benefits of exercise or of physical activity. So many different kind of treatment and prevention and management of health conditions, which we'll talk about just from exercise, and with little or next to no kind of negative side effects. So have a little think about that during the presentation. But why is it so good? Why should we all move? So physical activity, or keeping active, moving our body, is essential for our well-being, vitality, and our quality of life. Always has been, you know, all the way through our evolution. You know, movement, keeping active is so important. And moving on a regular basis, sitting less, or kind of for as less time as possible, has benefits for kind of over 20 different health conditions. It can help prevent lots of the health conditions that are listed on this kind of diagram here. So what researchers do is they follow up groups of people over time, over long periods of time, and measure a number of different things. And what the research has shown is that comparing those that are not active or are inactive with those that are active, those that do active things or are physically active have a longer life expectancy. They are up to 35% less likely to develop cardiovascular disease, so things like heart disease and stroke. They're 40% less likely to develop type 2 diabetes. Lots of research around physical activity, and it's a growing area of research for sure, has shown that if you are active, you're 30% less likely to develop colon cancer, 20% less likely to develop breast cancer, and there are new research showing kind of the reduced risk of other different types of cancers as well. And with colon cancer, for example, the mechanism behind that is actually quite simple. The movement of your body just helps get things moving inside your body, so it reduces the time that kind of food and any toxins and things are sat in your colon. So, you know, next time you're moving out and about, just think of what's going on inside you and how that's helping. Keeping active on a regular basis, and, you know, the research comparing those that are more active has shown that it can help reduce the risk of osteoporosis. So that's about your bone health and how strong your bones are. And it also can improve your balance. So if you've got better balance, you're less likely to have a fall. If you do fall, if you've got stronger bones, you're less likely for your bones to break. So keeping active has shown that it can reduce the chance of hip fractures by 68%, which is huge. Really, really important. And then kind of physical activity is then used to help kind of recovery after hip fractures as well. And then there's also lots of evidence to show that it can help reduce the risk of and prevent depression by 30% or up to 30%, and also dementia by up to 30%. And that's because of the impact that keeping active has not only on our physical health, but also on our brains and kind of neurotransmitters and things like that. So gosh, lots of things, really, really important for our long-term health. And it's not just about the prevention of these health conditions, it's about the management as well, and also sometimes treatment. So if you do have any of these kind of conditions already or have had, you know, your doctor might have said, you know, keep active. You know, that's really important because it can help to manage those as well. So lots of good things in the long term, but what about the short term? I like the quick wins, things that are probably likely to motivate us to keep active, kind of, you know, on a daily basis as well. So not only is it these long-term benefits, but it's also kind of lots of short-term and medium-term changes to our body that that result in us being more active. So improved flexibility, so being you know, keeping active, keeping moving, doing some stretches and things like that can help just keep our muscles nice and kind of elastic and supple, which is really important for our mobility, you know, being able to get in and out of the car, reach things like that. Keeping active can help to improve your muscular strength, so how strong you are, kind of your muscles without exercise or without activity and without strength exercises, your muscles do decrease, they decondition, they get weaker, they get smaller. But the opposite happens when you do more activity and exercise. So you can kind of keep you nice and strong, again, and that's going to help with your mobility, being able to kind of get in and off of a chair, things like that. Improve fitness, so obviously improves your cardiovascular fitness, which is one of the biggest, most important ones. Keeps your heart healthy, your lungs healthy, which, you know, your body is able to work more effectively and efficiently, less likely to get out of breath, things like that. It improves your energy levels, which we will talk about a bit more later on, actually, but because it seems quite counterintuitive sometimes, but it does, you know, keeping active does energize you. Even just kind of a short bout, you can kind of feel really energized after. It helps to maintain a healthy weight, so it reduces kind of chance of obesity and helps you to lose that weight and then maintain a healthy weight. It reduces joint pain, so whether that be as a result of osteoarthritis or any other niggles, aches and pains that you've got, it can help kind of just keep your joints healthy and kind of supple. It improves your bone health, as I mentioned earlier, keeps that kind of weight-bearing exercises. Your bones respond to that, so your bones actually get stronger and keep as strong and as dense as possible. So it improves that. Reduces stress, so exercise, activity, getting out and about, whatever it is that you want to do, is a really good kind of stress busting activity. Reduces kind of cortisol levels, and yeah, really good for that. It helps you to meet new people, and during this during COVID, less so maybe. If you're able to get out and join group exercise classes, obviously you're likely to meet new people. Still able to do that online. It's nice to be able to meet you all virtually, even though it's not quite the same, but it's still a lovely chance to kind of meet others. It improves your sleep. Research shows that you sleep better, and it also helps to boost your mood immediately and improves confidence. So I'm sure you've all kind of felt that benefit, that just kind of going out for a walk even, or just something small, can just help you feel better straight away. So yeah, lots of things here, really important, short term and long term, and these play these all work together. So these are kind of physical benefits, social benefits, psychological benefits that work together to give us an overall improved well-being and quality of life. And again, these things, if you can improve, for example, your bone health in the short term, you're less likely to get osteoporosis and hip fractures. So again, all of these things help to build up and prevent those conditions that we spoke about before. So what about if you've been diagnosed with cancer? So obviously this might be a concern of keeping active. Maybe you were previously active, and then a diagnosis, your activity levels might have changed. You might be kind of less confident with what you're able to do, what you should be doing. Previously, I don't know kind of when the change started happening, but it's not too long ago. Previously, the guidelines were, if you've had a cancer diagnosis, rest, pop your feet up, recover, rest. But we now know through lots and lots of research, a lot of Macmillan has provided a lot of this research as well, if you want to look into a bit more. We now know that rest is not best, and actually it's the opposite. Physical activity is not only safe, but it is important, and some might say it's essential for people living with cancer and beyond cancer. So yes, rest is not best, and in fact rest can actually be more harm than good, because as all those things that I mentioned before, if you're not doing activity, you're likely to kind of those things that we've mentioned are likely to decline and worsen. So it can be more harmful if you're not kind of active. So what about prostate cancer specifically? So obviously all different cancers have different side effects and different benefits, and are very different, and everybody individually is very different as well, depending on where you're at, and lots and lots of things. But research shows that keeping active, even at lower and small amounts of exercise during and after treatment for prostate cancer, can have all these different benefits. So it can improve cancer-related fatigue and tiredness. So as I said, this it can be quite counterintuitive. If you're feeling quite fatigued, tired, really excessive tiredness, you know, from treatments, or, you know, whatever it might be, doing activity, doing exercise might be the last thing on your mind. But what we know is that if using this cycle, so on the right hand side you can see kind of this this cycle. So if you've got kind of cancer related fatigue, you're more likely to kind of rest, kind of spend longer time resting, seated, lying down, whatever it might be. And what that leads to over time is physical deconditioning. So as I said, your muscles get weaker, your fitness you know, your fitness declines, and what that means is that your body is not able to work as effectively. So actually then what might have been a task that you could do now becomes more challenging, because your body is not as fit and kind of effective at doing that task, and so you're more fatigued. Your body, you know, you feel more fatigue, and that can accumulate, which would lead to more rest, which leads to more fatigue. So it's a bit of a cycle. We do need to break that cycle by doing something to preserve our fitness, you know, during treatment, particularly if the treatment's causing the fatigue, and to kind of prevent that persistent fatigue. So yeah, kind of breaking that cycle and getting it around the other way. It can, so back over to the left, so the other benefits, it can help to reduce hormone or metabolic dysfunction, so kind of improve that. It can help with sexual function. It can improve cognitive function, so how our kind of brain is working. It can reduce any post-operative complications. So if you've had surgery, kind of keeping active either before surgery and kind of in the recovery stage can reduce any kind of potential complications. It can reduce your risk of developing lymphedema. So kind of if you have had kind of surgery on lymph nodes, you might be at you know, risk of developing lymphedema, and also kind of radiotherapy around that area as well. But kind of keeping active can help reduce that, and actually the research shows that there's no negative impacts of moving and keeping active and exercising if you do have lymphedema as well. It can actually help to manage that. It can help to reduce any anxiety and depression, and help you feel in control at a time probably when you're feeling like you don't have any control over, you know, all these appointments and things like that, and what's going on in your body. You have control over this, and you can kind of take a bit of control back. And that's one of the main things that we get a lot of feedback from the people that have taken part in our program, that's kind of what they feel. And then I'm just going to go back to this slide again. Obviously these are also the benefits, and whilst these are benefits for, you know, everybody, they actually become maybe a bit more important if you are going, you know, if you've had a cancer diagnosis or going through treatment or recovering from treatment, because of the side effects that particularly, you know, prostate cancer treatments can cause, or even kind of effects of a diagnosis. So these things can help with the side effects of treatment. So for example, kind of the weight gain, bone mineral density declining, stress and anxiety, and you know, cancer-related fatigue, as I mentioned. Keeping active, because it helps with these things, it helps to manage some of the, you know, those side effects, and just helps you kind of get through treatment and feel good, kind of, yeah, throughout that kind of pathway. So sorry, this slide's a little bit blurry, but what this shows basically is the kind of stages through treatment. So I don't know, obviously this is the first time I've met you all. I don't know kind of where each of you are at in terms of your treatment. Some of you might be, you know, recently received your diagnosis. Some of you might be kind of pre-treatment, during treatment, post-treatment, you know, recovery and beyond. So, you know, wherever you're at, keeping active and physical activity is important at all of those stages. So you might have heard of the term prehabilitation, and if you haven't, you might have actually heard your kind of healthcare professional, nurse, oncologist, whoever it is, talk about the importance of kind of keeping moving and eating the right things, and they're kind of preparing you for what to expect, to basically prepare you for treatment, to make sure that you're as prepared as possible, so your body is as healthy and you're as well as possible for treatment, so that you can kind of manage any of the side effects more effectively. So that's what we call prehabilitation. So it's kind of preparing yourself. And then it's also important beyond treatment. So what I'd like you to imagine is if somebody says to you today, right, in however many weeks' time you're going to have to run a marathon. I mean, very, very, very challenging and an extreme case, but you would train for that, and training would help you to be as prepared as you can for that marathon. Even if you had 2 weeks, you'd do something to prepare yourself as best as possible for running that marathon. And that's because the marathon is, that's a lot for your body to go through. And you kind of think of treatment similar to that. So your body going through treatment is a massive thing for your body to go through. So you want to prepare yourself as best as possible for treatment, whether that be treatment now or kind of treatments that might come later on. So yes, so it's very important. It doesn't just stop there. It is important, as I said, to keep moving throughout treatment. The amount you're able to do might change if you feel you might need to pace yourself a bit more because of the effects that it's having on your body. But keeping moving is going to help you to feel good. And then rehabilitation, so post-treatment, getting back, kind of building gradually back up again your activity levels so that you are prepared for anything that might or might not, but might come in the future as well. So your body is as healthy, as fit as well as it can be. So what counts? What counts as physical activity? What is physical activity? Kind of, the words physical activity, exercise, they're kind of thrown about, but what physical activity is any body movement that works your muscles and requires more energy than resting. So compared to exercise is more kind of structured physical activity, so something that you kind of plan to do, whereas physical activity is basically anything that your body that requires your body to move and expend energy. So there's no particular physical activity that's better than the other, because they all provide, different types of activity provide different benefits, and everybody's different. So there's there's no one that you should do over another. Any activity is good, but there are different types of activity, which I'll kind of just talk through quickly. So we've got the aerobic activities, and that's things that work our heart, the cardiovascular system, our heart and our lungs. So aerobic activities are likely to get your heart rate up, or should get your heart rate up, and your breathing rate up. And that's things like brisk walking, swimming, cycling, maybe some housework, gardening, anything that you're doing that's getting your heart rate above normal. So that's cardiovascular kind of exercises. Resistance exercise or muscle strengthening exercise does what it says on the tin, really. Anything that uses resistance to build muscle strength. So doesn't have to be weights in the gym. That's kind of what springs to mind for a lot of people. Weights are fantastic because you can kind of know exactly how much you're lifting up, but anything that's forming resistance against your muscles. So that could be body weight exercises, anything you can find around your home, really. Tins, water bottles filled with stones, I've seen people try, resistance bands, but also things like gardening. If you're doing gardening that's involving some lifting kind of shopping bags, climbing the steps as well. So stair climbing, you're getting your heart rate up, and also you're working your leg muscles, so it's a bit of aerobic and resistance. So yes, it doesn't have to just be in a gym, or it doesn't have to be kind of with lots of equipment, just things that you've got around the home. And then balance exercises are anything that are practicing and working on your balance, things like Tai Chi, specific balance exercises, bowls, and they're obviously more important as we get older to kind of prevent any falls and keep us as kind of active and mobile as possible. And then sitting, that's not an activity. It's an activity that you can do, but it's not a physical activity. And what we want to do, so by that, that's sitting, watching the TV or on a computer or anything. We want to reduce the amount of time we spend sitting, especially if it's kind of for prolonged periods of time. So yeah, limit that time, or get up, every hour or so, and make sure that we're doing those other activities. So pretty much any activity you do will fall within those three kind of categories. So yeah, mixture of anything, whatever you want to do, whatever you enjoy. Enjoyment is key. If you enjoy it, you're more likely to to do it. So how much should you do? So the research shows, and this is for the general adult population and also for anybody that's had a cancer diagnosis, so it's the same, is 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity per week. So what moderate intensity is any activity that gets your heart rate up, your breathing rate up above normal. You can kind of hold a conversation, but you might not be able to sing a song. So that's a really good judge whether or not you're working moderately. So you know, if you're out for a walk, it might be a bit of a dawdle or a slower walk, seeing if you can get up just so your heart rate gets up a little bit more, and then you'll be working at that moderate intensity. So we aim for 150 minutes over the week. So that can be done in 10-minute bouts, 20-minute bouts, 30-minute bouts, whatever works for you. It doesn't have to all be done at once. So it all builds up over the week. So you can kind of spread it out as you wish. Or if you want to do kind of more vigorous activity, so that would be anything that gets your heart rate up, breathing rates up, but you might not be able to hold a conversation. Or if you are, then you might it might not make much sense because you're breathing so heavily. So that's kind of vigorous. That's how when you know if you're doing vigorous activity. So kind of, you know, running, for example. And you have to do 75 minutes of that per week. And obviously you can do a combination of both. So what I will point out though is that vigorous activity for one person might be different for somebody else. So everybody's physical activity, fitness levels, you know, abilities are different. So don't compare what's vigorous to you might be moderate to somebody else, and vice versa. So just think about, you know, where you're at. And then we need to be doing 2 strength-based kind of, you know, those resistance exercises, 2 kind of sessions of those per week, kind of on 2 days per week, sorry. And you know, what we count as like a session, it's not just kind of like one exercise. A variety of different exercises covering kind of larger muscle groups all over the body. You might do kind of one upper body session, one lower body session, whatever works best for you. But kind of, you know, 10 reps of each exercise, and then doing it twice round, the circuit twice round or 3 times round. But you know, building it up if you need to. And then also doing 2 days a week of exercises that improve our balance. So, you know, those kind of balance exercises, standing on one leg or kind of practicing that, can be done when you're waiting for the kettle to boil, when you're cleaning your teeth. You can kind of fit those in wherever really. So yeah, just kind of keep practicing that, so it kind of helps to reduce the risk of falls. And then what I want to just make sure, so that's guidelines. That's what we, you know, the research shows that, you know, those that reach that, you know, get the benefits. But I want to point out that this is recommended guidelines. If you don't do that at the moment, if you don't do anything, don't panic. It's not that there's a line, and if you do less than that, you don't get any benefits. So on the right hand side, these bullet points, if you don't take anything away today apart from kind of 1 thing or 4 things, I want them to be these. So make a start today. It's never too late. So as I said, it's not that if you haven't been active for a while, or you know, your activity levels are reduced, and you know, during lockdown you're not alone. You know, everybody's activity levels are reduced because we're not able to do maybe as much as we used to be able to do. And you know, everyone's got different reasons, but you know, it's never too late. You're never too old. You're never too, you know, whatever health conditions you've got, there's always something that you can do. So start somewhere. Start today. Start small and build up. As I said, wherever you're at, start gradually, build up over time. Break it up. You might just start off with like 10 minutes on 2 days a week of just walking. Then you might make the sessions a bit longer, or you might do them on more days a week. So yeah, start off, build up gradually. Some is good, more is better. So there is a dose-response relationship with physical activity. So the more you do, the more benefits you get, and they do kind of build up over time as well. So unfortunately, just one bout of activity, you might feel really great, but you might not gain as much kind of fitness and strength-based benefits as if you did it kind of regularly. So it's about that consistency and regularity that's important. But yeah, some is really good, some is better than nothing, but more is better. So think of that, and build, you know, as I said, that leads on to that building it up. And what might be quite encouraging to know as well, if those that are least active or kind of are most unfit and haven't maybe exercised in a while have the most to gain. So if you haven't done any activity and you start even just small, you're likely to see benefits quicker and sooner than if you're super active already, because, you know, your body is responding to those changes, which is encouraging, particularly when you're starting off. And every minute counts. Don't be hard on yourself. Every minute does count. So if some weeks or some days you know, you just can't either reach your goals or you're not up to as much, every minute counts. So even just something small is important. So keep those 4 points in your head. Lovely. So what did I say? Let's start today. So I can't really talk about physical activity and keeping active and not do something where we're going to move a little bit. So I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen in a second. And with the recording, I don't know if you can pause the recording just so that as you know, as the recording's on, but we're going to just do a really short, really quick kind of few different movements that you can do from the chair. You know, some of you might have done things like this already, or, you know, already do things like this, but for some, if it's new to you, give it a go. This short circuit is not designed for anybody in particular or any particular other health conditions, so if so, you know, be wary and you know, take part at your own risk, but they are very kind of, we're just going to do a little bit, and we're not using any weights or anything like that, so they are very gentle, so hopefully they, you know, give it a go. But if there's anything you're unsure about, just miss out that exercise. Make sure you've got a little bit of space, but as I said, it's all seated. And yeah, let's just have a little bit of fun. I'll just show you some exercises that you can do at home, and then you can build up from here. We won't use any weights, but later on, if you do want to do these exercises again, you can add in some water bottles, tins of food, light weights if you have them, and you can do the circuit kind of more than once, kind of 2 or 3 times round. But right, I can see some of you getting ready. I'm going to stop sharing my screen a second just so you can see me a bit clearer. So how to start, where to start, and how to keep going. So, you know, as I said, people, you know, you might already be active, you might have just not done any activity in a while because of COVID or because of treatment or things like that, or maybe you've never been active before. So these are just a few tips to kind of know where to get started. So first of all, make it part of your lifestyle. So make some simple changes that are just part of your day-to-day life. So taking the stairs instead of a lift, standing whilst on a phone call rather than sitting. So these kind of simple changes can, as I said, every minute counts. So kind of these things can make a big, you know, all add up to make a big difference. You know, getting some fresh air, going outdoors. You're going to be kind of moving out of the house and getting moving and getting some fresh air is really helpful. And if you can kind of make travel from, you know, if you've got a short distance that you can do by foot or by bike or anything like that, as long as it's safe with you know, with COVID and things like that as well, you know, active travel is a good way to kind of fit it into your lifestyle. Make a routine, make a plan, put activities in your diary, do things at the same time each week if it helps, do what feels right for you, and then kind of just stick to it. It's that consistency that's key, and once you form a habit, there'll be no stopping you, hopefully. And listen to your body and pace yourself. So you know, wherever you're at, especially if you are going through treatment, you definitely need to pace yourself, and you know, listen to your body every day and just see what you're up to. But it's about building up gradually, as we said before. Next thing, which is a bit more around motivation. So once you are started, or what, you know, how do you get motivated to start and carry on from there? Is to kind of set goals that are right for you. So these aren't necessarily big challenges like running a marathon or anything like that. These are just small goals that, you know, that are set by you, for you, or you know, short-term, medium-term, long-term goals. So what's quite helpful to start with is recording and taking kind of an activity diary. So just recording what you're doing currently, whether that be kind of the amount of steps you're doing, or kind of minutes of exercise, or what kind of exercise or activities you're doing. how long for, things like that. Also how hard you're working. That can be a really good start to then start to build up from there. And also to track your progress over time, so you can kind of see over however many weeks how much you've kind of improved or how that's changed. That can be really motivating. Set yourself some SMART goals. So what SMART means, you might have heard of it before, you might not have. So goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So by saying I want to do more exercise or I want to get more active, that's not quite, that's not very, it's a great goal, but it's to make something a bit more specific is much more, you're more likely to achieve your goal. So being a bit more specific, so saying that I want to do more walking, making it measurable. So I want to walk 5 days a week for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it might be, something that you can say, yes, I have done that. You can measure that. Something that's achievable. There's no point in, if you're not doing anything and you know that you can't fit it in, or you're going to struggle to do it, do something that you know that you can do. And again, that's going to be quite motivating if you reach your goal and you've done it, and you can set yourself another goal. Something that's relevant to you as well. There's no point in saying, oh, I'm going to I don't know, my goals around cycling, and actually you don't really have, maybe you don't even have a bike. So what's, do something that means something to you, that's relevant to you, and that kind of fits with your life and your values and things. And then time bound, it's quite useful to have a bit of a kind of a deadline. We work as humans, we work well to deadlines. If you can say, I want to do this week, or I want to do that by that time, that's really good to kind of, again, you can then at that point evaluate, have I done that goal? Yeah, I've achieved that. Or if you haven't, that's absolutely fine. Go back, tweak it, and then see where you go from there. We all have barriers. So the next one, recognizing your barriers and ways to overcome them. We all have things that stop us from doing whatever it might be. Life gets in the way. COVID, for example, has been a huge one. we've not been able to do things, and it is challenging when things get in the way, especially if you've started to have some good habits. But have a plan, think about ways to overcome them. If you think that your barrier to keeping active is time, for example, you don't have time or you don't enjoy it, find something you enjoy, or find something that you can, short amount bouts of time. So just have a think about what it is that's kind of stopping you, or even if it's motivation, lack of motivation, some of these kind of setting goals and finding something you enjoy can really help with that. And there you go, the last one, do what you enjoy. So you're not going to stick to it if you don't enjoy it. If you really hate it, the chances of you carrying it on in the long term is quite slim. So find something you enjoy. If that's doing something sociable, making it competitive, just something really fun that you just love doing. It doesn't, even if it doesn't feel like kind of activity or exercise, that's really, really important. And if during this time it can be more challenging to do that because lots of activities aren't running at the moment, but it might be a chance to try something new, and then you might find something new that you enjoy. And then finally, get support. So everybody is different. You might find that you do just need a bit of support to get started or continue, or you might not feel quite confident at the moment, depending on where you're at with what you should be doing, or how much, or whatever it might be, or kind of support with motivation. But there is support out there. So our Brighter Outlook program, which I'll explain in the next slide, we've got specialist coaches that will help with that. So there's specialist tailored support. Family and friends, everybody can get involved. So if you can do things with others, get the support from each other, that's really, really helpful, and you're more likely to kind of keep it up if you're kind of supporting each other. And if one of you is less motivated one day, hopefully you can kind of support each other on those days. And I think when it's obviously, again, it's a bit different at the moment, even if it's kind of virtual support messages to kind of encourage friends. But if you've got people in your household that are kind of being active with you, that's them helping you through your kind of recovery and your journey and your kind of treatment as well. So that's really positive. Join groups. There's so many groups out there, online ones, not online ones when we're back to when we can go back to face to face. Things like this Picasso group is amazing because you can kind of support each other as well. You know, any local support on, you know, online videos, online activities, give them a go, get involved. And then there's also apps. There's loads of apps. If you are a bit tech savvy or want to try some things, there's like apps that you can track your progress, you can track your steps, you can track different kind of health stats. You can track your walks or your cycles on things like Strava. There's apps that give you kind of an exercise program for you. So have a look. Let me know if you want any tips or anything like that. And then finally, about our Brighter Outlook programs. As I said, the support that is out there, if you're not sure, our Brighter Outlook program is exactly for that, for anybody with a cancer diagnosis, to help support you to get more active in a way that's right for you. So it's very personalised, wherever you're at in terms of your treatment. However, kind of, you know, we see people that are really, you know, super fit and just need a bit of support and guidance because of their diagnosis. We see people that have never exercised in their life and want to know where to start. So what happens is we get a referral from you. You can self-refer, or a health professional and one of your healthcare team can refer you. Then you have an initial appointment with one of our coaches. So they specialise in cancer rehab. They really understand the kind of effects of treatment and what's best for you, and kind of know that it can be quite daunting. So they hopefully kind of help to build your confidence. They'll get to know you in your initial appointment, just to see where you're at and what you like doing, what you want to get out of the program, and set some goals together. So do some of that kind of SMART goal setting. And then at the moment, we're doing all of our classes online. We were doing some face-to-face ones pre-COVID, and hopefully at some point in the future we'll be able to return to that when it's safe. But at the moment, we're doing sessions online like this, on Zoom. We do kind of yoga, circuit classes, like kind of some of the exercises that we did today, with some like tins and things like that, suitable for all levels, and also some seated sessions as well. Or maybe a kind of a home program of exercises if you prefer, that you can kind of work on and that's kind of tailored to you. And then the coaches will support you at 3 months, 6 months and 12 months. You'll get kind of a review appointment, and they can signpost you to other things that are going on as well. It's a bit of a, this is the same case study as that was in the updates, the newsletter. So if you want to read that, do read the newsletter. It's a fantastic, just one of many. We do have a lot of referrals come through from men that have been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and the lovely Richard, he was, he wasn't doing anything beforehand. He put on quite a lot of weight. He was worried for his health. Climbing the stairs was really challenging. He'd had, gone through lots of different treatments, and then joined the Brighter Outlook sessions. And he said, Brighter Outlook sessions have turned my life around. He's kind of gone from nothing to 1 session a week, built it up, and now he's doing exercise every day through the help of the coaches. He's tried yoga, which he'd never done before. He said, I look forward to each class. They give me structure to my day, which is actually quite important, even more important, I think, at the moment when we're not able to get out and about. Before I'd easily tire, whereas now I can't get enough. I have much more supple body, greater reach, and far less aches and pains. He's changed his diet and his exercise, and it's helped him to lose 2.5 stone. He said, my advice to anybody is that you are never too old or set in your ways where you think it's impossible to start a new healthy direction in life. Dip your toe in the water, the benefits are great. So that's from Richard himself. And if you do want to refer yourself or find out a bit more information, go onto the Albion the community website, onto the Brighter Outlook page. The link's there. I can share this link after. Give me a call or give me an email and we can get you started. And then here is just some ideas of other things. If Brighter Outlook's not for you and you don't want that, but there's lots of other online support. Move More, the Move More DVD by Macmillan's really useful. We've also got some exercise session videos on our YouTube channel. There's lots of kind of help, the stuff on the right is more things that we can do once we're back to face-to-face. But there's lots of exercise videos and guidance and support out there and different programs. So yeah, that's just a few ideas. But if you want some more support, the Brighter Outlook kind of coaches will be able to help you. And that's it from me. I'm sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on the time and thinking, oh, gosh. But that's...
Well, thank you very much, Rosie, and thank you for the bit of activity in the middle as well to get us moving and thinking about it.
I hope everyone enjoyed that. It's so good to see everybody moving on the screen. It was brilliant. You did really well.
So have you got time to take some questions? If
I do, yes. I'm
yeah.
happy to take questions, but I appreciate that if anybody needs to rush off, apologies for going over, and if you do want to ask questions after, that's fine, email me, but yeah, happy to take questions now.
Okay, can I just say before you begin, you referred to the case study, the example. That's not in the main updates for this time, but it is in the Eastbourne newsletter. So if people wanted to follow to the Eastbourne website, they can read the whole story there, just there. Now I'm going to look at the screen for you, if although we've got the facility for people to put their hand up with their electronic hand or their real hand. So I can see Chris's hand's up straight away. So I don't know whether Chris wants to start with the first question. Or you're muted, Chris.
Yeah, I've just hopefully I'm no longer muted. Rosie, what's the feeling with the organisation that you're with about the use of these Fitbits and other similar pieces of equipment? Do you advocate their use?
I personally think they're brilliant, and they provide a way for you to get that kind of instantaneous feedback. So yeah, Fitbits, Garmin's, Apple Watches. I guess the only downfall is that they have that initial cost, but everybody that I know who has one has gets on really well with it, and they're not designed to be confusing or anything. They are easy to use once you've got them set up. But what they do, I've got a Apple Watch. You get information on your resting heart rate when you're exercising, so you can kind of see if you are working at those moderate and vigorous activity levels. They track your steps, they track your minutes of exercise. So those things that I was saying about kind of monitoring that, it does it all for you. So then you can look back, and if you like a bit of data, like looking at your any graphs and things like that, it does it all for you. So I do think that they are brilliant, and they link to kind of your phone and things like that. So yeah, really good for motivation. The only thing is that initial cost, and unfortunately that's I mean, I'd love for that to be part of the Brighter Outlook programme. Maybe a dream in the future, but we don't provide them. But if you have them, brilliant, because it means that you can kind of you get a lot out of them.
Okay, thank you, Rosie, very much.
I can't see any more electronic hands. Oh, Lance has got a question. You're muted at the moment, Lance.
Mute. Hi there.
Hi, Lance.
Yeah, thanks, Rosie. That was really interesting, and it's so important for everybody, not just prostate cancer sufferers, but every human being should do some type of exercise. It's just so obvious, really. But with prostate cancer, one of the issues is for those of us like myself on hormone treatment, it can have a negative effect on muscle mass and bone density, which sort of increases the need for exercise. I've always been reasonably fit. I've always done running or cycling or hill walking, but in the last 6 months I've started doing resistance exercises as well, using resistance bands and sort of spring things for your fingers, for your arms. And I've noticed it is actually just 15 minutes a day. It is building new muscle mass. I can feel on my arms there's more there than used to be. Brilliant. And it helps for my whole posture, for neck, back, shoulder muscles, even stomach. It gets the lot, just 15 minutes a day, and I'm surprised how effective that can be. And so just buying 20 quid worth of kit from a sports shop or just on Amazon, and using these different things. I'm up to where I do 100 of this or 50 of that, and in just a quarter of an hour.
That's brilliant.
So I'd certainly recommend that to anybody.
I love, and I mean, what a perfect example there as well. You've kind of built up gradually, and it doesn't have to be kind of going to the gym for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it is, or working. Those resistance exercises especially are so important, and our bodies respond to exercise really well and do improve, and you'll notice a big difference quickly. And as you said, it's so important to help manage some of those kind of side effects of hormone therapy, and yeah, makes it even more important. So start somewhere. Use Lance as a kind of a motivation there. And if you don't have resistance bands, or they are brilliant. So they're the kind of ginormous elastic bands that you can kind of put under your foot and do the bicep curls to have a little bit more resistance. But tins, whatever it is, you're doing resistance exercises. So yeah, a little bit every day, you'll notice a big difference. Thanks, Lance. That's really great. Keep it up.
Okay, now see a hand there from Ron and Jenny, and you're on. Oh, you've unmuted. Right, where you go.
Yes, I took part until COVID stopped all the active recovery courses run by Freedom Leisure and funded by Macmillan, and I found them very useful. It gave you each week you went and joined other people, and I found it motivated you. But unfortunately, we've had to stop meeting together now, but it does give you some ideas for the exercise you've got at home, although I've sort of fallen by the wayside a bit, but your talk has motivated me back to do some of the exercises, especially the balance exercises we were told were very important for older life.
Definitely. Oh, well,
thanks so much. Hopefully I'll get back to the active recovery ones when we're all back to normal.
Yes. Yeah, fingers crossed. I know, can't wait to do some face-to-face stuff as well, because unfortunately a lot of the leisure centres have they have closed or had to stop their sessions, but a lot of the leisure centres across Sussex also have level 4 cancer rehab instructors, so you can do kind of one of the GP referral programmes, which is what the kind of active recovery program. So it's similar to Brighter Outlook, but in the meantime, if you did want some support to keep you going with some online stuff, do get in touch. But that's brilliant, and as you said, the social aspects as well, meeting others that are kind of going through similar journeys as well is really good, and you do get to learn some of the exercises that you kind of keep doing and know what's best. So yeah, get back to those balance exercises especially.
Right, I can't see any more electronic hands. Are there? Oh, yes, Ray. Ray's got a hand up there. Yeah.
Oh, hi there. Thank you very much, Ray. Quite informative.
That's all right. Glad you enjoyed it. I hope. Yeah, I can send out the slides, by the way.
Indeed. Fortunately, I have a dog, so I get an hour's brisk walk every morning without fail. But one of the things I would stress, and I saw it on the back end of your presentation, was taking on board fluids, especially when the weather's warmer. Make sure you don't dehydrate. That can be quite a bad thing if you allow yourself to dehydrate. So keeping up your fluid intake is very, very important. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and however much activity you're doing, whether it's small amounts, but more so if it's hot weather or you're doing kind of vigorous activity, you need to keep hydrated so that our muscles and how our body works needs energy, needs fuel, needs hydration. So what we recommend as well is after exercise having a kind of a protein rich snack or food, so that you kind of helps with your muscle growth as well. So yes, what you're putting into your body is important as well to make sure that you can function and do the right activity. Thanks, Ray.
Okay, let's see if there are any other hands up. Can't see any at the moment. Somebody, I'm sure Cliff will shout out if I've missed somebody. I've got a comment, Rosie. It's very timely your talk, because I was watching some of that BBC programme last night, The Truth About, and I've learned a few top tips there. And the thing about Ray was saying about the hydration, and also about what to eat. I think the presenter wasn't really eating something before she went out for a run or something. So I think the importance of nutrition can't be overemphasized. One of the things I have started running, I did the Couch to 5K. I did that about 18 months ago, and I do use my phone to track my progress. Yeah. I've not got into the Fitbits yet, because the one thing that bothers me is being able to see to see the device now that I need glasses. Whereas with a smartphone, you can increase the size. But, I do believe in them, but that's the one thing for me is I can't always see the screen because it is small on the devices.
Yeah, I guess the data does eventually go on your phone if you you know, because it measures your heart rate. But no, if you're doing it on your phone, and that Couch to 5K app is brilliant. It starts, you know, gets you into running if you've either not done it before or not done running in a while, but it builds up over the course of the program, talks you through the session. So that's brilliant. Well done, Debbie, for doing that. And yeah, nutrition is so important, but food is fuel. So it's making sure that you're eating food that's going to give you the energy to, you know, kind of fiber and carbohydrates and protein, and as I said, water, lots of fruit and veg, healthy things that are going to keep you energized and keep you going for longer. So yeah, it's the holistic approach, really, isn't it? That's why we're kind of keeping active, eating the right things, keeping well, doing things that are good for our mental health as well. It's so important throughout treatment and, well, pre-treatment, during treatment, post-treatment. So
okay, right. So I'm just going to one more scan, make sure I've not missed any hands. I don't think I can see any others. So it's probably timely to say thank you very much again, Rosie, for your presentation.
That's all right. Thank you so much for having me, and it's so good to see so many of you. Thank you for listening to me waffle for an hour and for joining me on our movement, starting the journey today. So well done, everybody. Thanks for having me.